Hi, in this video I'm going to build a change password component. So on this page there'll be another box underneath this page so I can actually change the current password of the account I'm logged in with. So I'm going to make a new component. I'm going to call it change password. Okay, so that's created the component. So what I'm going to do is go into the edit page within my blade file. And essentially I'm just going to duplicate this line. So rather than edit profile, it's going to be change -password. Pass through the user into this component. Okay, so we'll see if we've made any mistakes. Okay, so can't find that component because I'm telling it to go inside of the users directory, which it's not inside the user directory, it's just inside, well, it's just in the root of Livewire. So I'm just going to move that into the users, just keep them grouped together, and then I'll just update the namespace to be users. Okay, so no errors then. Now that component is now rendering. So then what I'm going to do is go into the change password file, and I'm going to close that sidebar down. I'm just going to use an xcard component, and I'll just say page 2, say change password. That gives us another box with a change password in place. Okay, so now I want to create a new form element. So I'm going to use my xform component, and I'm going to do a wire submit, and then I want to say prevent. Because I want this to only run when I actually press a button, I don't want it to run on its own. Okay, so that creates the form element itself. Obviously I'm going to need a submit button. There we go, we've got change password, and then let's put in our 2 elements. So we're going to set wire model. Even though I'm getting ahead of myself, but I know what we're going to need. So I'm going to set the first one to be new password. So I'll do the same thing for the name. I'll to be new password. I'm going to set the type to password, just so it knows it's a password field. I'm going to set the label to new password, and this is what you actually see on the actual page itself. Okay, so I'll just see if that's rendering correctly. Okay, yep, that looks alright. It's a bit long there, so just for convenience, what I'm going to do is create X row, and then I'm going to just do an X call, and I'm just going to put this inside of here. Just makes it a bit small rather than doesn't need to be the full width for this case. Change password's a bit close, so I'm just going to give that a bit of a margin bottom. So I'll say margin bottom 5. Just gives it a bit more space underneath. Okay, so now I'm going to just duplicate that line, and then I'm just going to say confirm password. There we go, so we've got our 2 password fields. I'm pressing submit at the minute. We'll take us to a method that doesn't actually currently exist as yet. Okay, so that should be enough for that process. So I'll just tidy this up slightly. Okay, so now if I go to the change password component, and you'll see it's pretty straightforward to begin with. All it's doing at the moment is just rendering a view page, and that's really all there is to it. So what I want to do is to start defining my properties of this component. So first of all, I want to say I want to bring in the user model, and I want to add that to a user component, a user property rather. And define a new password, a big empty to begin with, and I also want a confirm password. Okay, and so in the render is when we're going to actually load our page through. Right, so now I want to create my rules. I'm going to create a protected function called rules. And then that's just going to return an array of my different rules. So I'm going to say for new password, then it's going to be required. And then I want to bring in the password validation class. So I can set my options. So I want to say it has to be at least 8 characters. I want it to be sort of mixed case. And it needs to be letters and numbers. So it has to be at least one number, at least one letter, and uncompromised, which basically checks the have I been Paul on site and say that as long as it's not been in a data breach, then you can use this password. So that's a really cool feature that's recently been added into Laravel. Okay, so that's the options for the new password, and then for the confirm password, I just want to say that it's required and it needs to be the same as new password. Okay, I think that should do it for the rules. Could also customize the messages should we want to, so we might come back to that if we want to do it. One thing I would like to do is put kind of validation in place that happens as you type in, and to do that we use a public function, and we'll say updated, and we'll say property name. It's not going to return anything. And then within inside here we can just say this validate only, and then pass in the property name. And then finally we can do our public function, which will actually do the actual changing called update. And again, it's not going to change anything, it's not going to return anything, so it can have a void return type. So first what we want to do at this point is we want to actually validate the actual data. So we can just pass it, just validate. We just want just validate actually. And then it'll validate based on the rules that's already been set out. And then what I can say is this user password. So assuming everything's gone the way it should have been. Then what we can do is bring in the hash facade to actually generate a new password, and we'll say make, and then we can pass in the new password. So what I'll do, we'll pass in the new password to the password object, and then we'll say this user save. To actually save that into the system, and then we want to do a session flash, and so give it a message, and then the value will be password changed. Okay, so we've done a fair bit there, so we'll just see what that's all looking like, and then come back to our page and refresh. Quick change password. It says the new password field is required and the confirm password field is required. Okay, so the required attributes is all working. So if I just put any other gibberish in, and tells us must be at least 8 characters and passwords don't match. So if I did it all just lowercase, then it's all me that they're not matching, which is all good. So let's just mix something up. Hit change password, and that's actually changed the password. One thing I got in the actual view of the change password is an alert that basically tells us that we've changed the password. Okay, so now we've got alert, and that actually changed the password. Yeah, and that's a nice way that we can just change the password there and then. Thinking about it, we can move this so it's just along the side there, because we don't. That'd be a nicer layout. So I can just make another column and then just move this top one down the line, save that in place, refresh it, and there we go. Just so it's a bit nicer laid out then. So now from our edit page now, we can change our username, we can change our email address, and we can change password. If you want it a bit more, even on an extra level of security, you could put another box in that forces the user to put in their current password. You validate that password is correct, and if it is, then you can go ahead. I find with most systems that's just a bit overkill. We don't necessarily need to go to that level, especially when there's only like one user account in this system. So for me, this is going to be enough to get started with for most systems.